Well, good evening, everybody. My computer's a little bit glitchy, so welcome everybody to the Denver Bronco Roundup. All you out there, rocking that orange and blue, coming in here on a Friday night. We appreciate you so much. We're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network, and we're sponsored by Morgan Trinkets. A little bit more about them later. My name is Keith Brugman. I'll be your host, but I'm not alone, man. We have three of the four horsemen. Albert's going to be out this evening, but I'll just go right across the board here, right over to my good friend Trevor, and say good evening, Trevor. Welcome in, and say good evening to Broncos country, man.
Yeah, good evening to everybody, watching us tonight. Whether you're watching us live or after the fact, excited to be here and hopefully talking to much of a Denver Broncos win. Again, this game was setting up pretty well for the Broncos. Time to get to 5-3 and take care of business at home because if this team's going to be a playoff team, you have to start winning your home games too.
Yeah, good point, man. Home has not been so kind to us. We have the perfect opportunity to maybe right that ship versus the Panthers. Before I go over to our good friend Jody Moncrief, I'll just say hello to a couple. I'll say hello to Ernie Mays coming in here and say, go Broncos country only. Bo Nix for 6, man. We could be talking a little bit about that come Sunday. Our good friend Paul coming over on YouTube says, I know this is a family show, so I won't say any more bad words. What's up, horseman? Appreciate you, Paul. Thank you. Try to keep it family oriented, so some dad sitting there with his son can come in here and rock a great podcast with us. Appreciate you so much. Scott's coming in and also saying party time, Bronco style. Love it, man. Love it, and love it when Jody can join us. It's not all the time, man. Jody's a great father and always hanging out with the family when he's not hanging with us. So hats off to Jody, and good evening, Jody. Welcome to Friday night, talking a little bit of Broncos.
What's up? This is, in my opinion, a must-win game if you want to make the playoffs. So, um, make it a get-right game before you get into Baltimore, and we'll find out as Denver contenders or pretenders.
Yeah, must-win game. I think I've heard that a lot. I've heard a little bit about, could this be a trap game? Trevor, I just want to start kicking it off, and we don't do this a whole lot. Let's just start talking about this Carolina Panthers team. We've been talking about this Denver Broncos team for 7 weeks now, heck, 8 weeks, really. Well, when haven't we talked about them every single week for a couple years now? But that being said, talking about this team this year, we've been talking about every single week. Wanted to talk a little bit about, the Carolina Panthers. They're coming in here, and man, I don't wish this upon any franchise. This team is, you know, having struggles from top to bottom. We'll just put it that way. But really, when we talk about a team, we talk about the quarterback. They got a lot going on out there. Just get us all up to speed. What's been going on? I guess I know that you're in tune with it. You were talking about it even on our last podcast. So get us all up to speed there, and just your thoughts, man, on what's going on for them at quarterback right now.
Yeah, I think we'd be here all night if I sit here and named off every single name that's on the injury list for the Carolina Panthers. But I will just say this: it's a team that's in transition. They're trying to rebuild their, and they just have so many injuries right now. And they just starts with their quarterback position. It started with Andy Dalton at the beginning of the week, and unfortunately went in that had a car accident that is going to sideline him for this game. And they have Bryce Young, so we'll get another look at Bryce Young, and so will they, to see if he can be the guy going forward for them. They have a nice young running back in Mr. Chuba Hubbard as well that can very much so put up 100 yards on the ground pretty easily. So I just think in this game, Denver's going to have to take care of business. It's the second week in a row where you're facing a team that's got a ton of injuries, and you got to capitalize it. You don't apologize for wins, and you certainly don't apologize for them. When it comes to injuries, because anybody, can go through injuries at any point in time. So any team, I should say. So, I think that this is a game where the Broncos can go into and very much so as a win. I think is a must win for them, especially, like Jody just said, going on the road, against the Chiefs and Baltimore. So, got to take care of business in this one. Very winnable. And hopefully they can get it done at home.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just a couple more before I get Jody's thoughts on this. Got to say, Scott saying howdy, horseman, and Paul. Paul was all excited because he says, "Wait, Judge Jody, I like it, but I really like when the Ronk comes in here and he's dropping 100 stars, and all he's doing is saying good evening to us, and And I'm sure all of you as well, because he's a big posse guy as well. Michael, thank you so much for coming in here, helping us out, dropping some stars and saying good evening, Keith, Trevor, Jody, and Gobo Broncos, giving us the orange and blue hearts and the mile high salute, man. Appreciate you so much, Ronk. Jody, this team, man, they go out, they draft a Bryce Young. He obviously didn't have the year that he necessarily expected. Got a pretty quick chain, got that quick yank on the chain when it came to this season, really from the top down. Now he gets another opportunity. Unfortunately, as Trevor pointed out, because of an Andy Dalton car accident, now I guess he has a thumb injury. And if you know, it's kind of important that you have a good thumb on your throwing hand if you're going to be a quarterback. So enter Bryce Young. He gets a second chance. Just talk about Bryce Young and the expectations he's had, and maybe his opportunity now as he comes in and, gets that chance that may have never came for him if it wouldn't have been for, some bad fate for Andy Dalton and his family.
It's a second chance that he needs. Hopefully Denver doesn't give him any momentum to roll with it. Denver needs to put them away early and not overlook this game because they got 2 tough games after this. They need to take care of business. Do what you got to do to win this game. Stay healthy. Get ready for the next couple weeks. Don't let Bryce Young get rolling because he is a number 1 overall pick for a reason. So we've seen it here. We've seen Zach. Why am I drawing a blank? Our third string quarterback,
Zach Wilson.
So we've seen Zach Wilson. I mean,
I want to get every Wilson out of my mind as well. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
He didn't cut it in the Jets, and he came here and had a revival. We don't want that there with a new coach that didn't draft him. Same coach that worked with Russell Wilson, so maybe he can do wonders with him down there. We don't want that. So don't let him build on any confidence or anything like that. Just got to put him away early and get ready for next week.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. It's the one little bit of concern that I have heading into this game. Here's a guy that's backed in a corner. He's desperate. If he's going to have any value, not just to this team, because I don't know if he has value to this team as a quarterback on this team. I think ownership might have already decided he doesn't have value. But if he's going to have value outside of this league, he doesn't have too many opportunities to go out there and prove who he is, what he's worth, and what he wants to be worth is another opportunity, possibly on another team. So, it's scary when you get some of these guys backed in the corner. They can go one of 2 ways. We want it to go our way, guys. But the Carolina Panthers and their fans, they're hoping for a little bit of revival, at least a little bit of spark. They've only got 1 win on the season and didn't come through Bryce Young. So this team is, he's got an uphill battle. Don't get me wrong. This is a team that's, if I checked, 22 listed on the injury list in some capacity. Now, I think 6 are guaranteed to be playing, but that leaves 18 guys, I think, if I'm doing my math roughly, 14, 18, 16. Anyway, right around in that area. I was a math major, by the way. But, they got a lot of guys that are either questionable or out in this game. So he's going to have an uphill battle. But like I said, guy back in the corner, a guy that's fighting for his future right now. And he's the first overall draft pick, but he might be going the route of a Zach Wilson, or a Josh Rosen if he's not too careful, and really having to try to pick up crumbs and try to get your career back in order. So, like I said, just the one cautionary thing that I would go out there and say, we got to say hello to Rick, though. Rick came in over on YouTube, said, "Good evening, everybody. You're Frederick from Chicago. I came in too late to the show." Man, we're just getting rolling, Rick. We're talking just about what the Carolina Panthers are. We're really talking about what their quarterback is doing out there, or who their quarterback's going to be. And, it's flip-flopped in the last 10 days. So, I guess it's worth mentioning. Let's have Pearl coming in and saying hello all and saying I'm back. Pearl, just let me know. I know that Facebook for Morgan Trinkets wasn't the best way. We were still wanting to push through Instagram. If that's changed, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to make sure that we get all of the people to the right place when it comes to Morgan Trinkets. Man, Paul's coming in. He says, I feel sorry for Bryce Young. It could get ugly. And I think there's a lot of reasons that I think it could get ugly. This team is a little bit riddled right now, Trevor. I'll start with you with injuries. Ones that just jump out right now. Adam Thielen right now is on IR. Deontay Johnson, wide receiver, is going to be out for this game. I know that you were really excited about Chuba Hubbard, but this team is going to have a rough go, in my opinion. If they're going to get going against this Denver Broncos defense.
Yeah, and then you don't even value in Taylor Moton, their right tackle, is also questionable in this game. Jonathan Brooks, that was a second round draft pick from this last year's draft. He's out right now as well, and I don't think he's even played a snap this year. On defense, let's just start there as well. Jose Jewell, former Denver Bronco, questionable. Ashawn Robinson, questionable. Jatavion Clowney, questionable. So I mean, it's just got so many different guys that are just going to be out on both sides of the ball. Where again, it's kind of like the Saints all over again, 2.0. So we're right there again for a second week in a row. Denver can't control what the other team's injuries are. They just got to go out there and perform and play Denver Bronco football on both sides of the ball. Want to see growth from the offense and continue to see what we've seen from the defense up to this point in time this year. And I think that there's no reason why this team can't walk out there, the Broncos, I'm saying, walk out there with a W and start kind of looking forward, looking ahead, and seeing if you can get a game or two on the road. Very difficult road schedule, of course, but I mean, you're just very tough situation for Bryce Young to succeed in. He's going to need that run game. That's why I think Chuba Hubbard is sort of that X factor in this game. I think if the Panthers have any shot at trying to win this football game, I just don't know how much Dave Canales, the Carolina Panthers head coach, trusts Bryce Young. Obviously, there's a reason they made a quarterback change. So I just wonder if they're going to try to feed Chuba Hubbard the ball a little bit more and get him going first and foremost, and take that pressure off Bryce Young.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get into the game plan. Absolutely. I love what Paul's saying here. Probably summed up what I was trying to say the best. Wounded animal, a wounded panther in the corner equals Bryce Young, man. I don't know if I necessarily want to go after that wounded panther that's in the corner. A little bit scary at times. And our good friend Phil McLaughlin coming in here, he's dropping stars this evening. Thank you so much, Phil. Phil's been a great supporter in that way, man. He's come on and he's come on strong, and I appreciate you, Phil, every time you're able to do that. Or anyone, any guy, any gal, if you're able to drop stars, man. Tell you what, man, like I said, it warms the cockles in my heart. It truly means so much that we've gotten to that point with all of you and your mind and your thoughts that you're willing to give us a little bit of something. So he says, good evening, Keith, Rocket Man, and the Judge. We need to put this away early and take that momentum away and take that momentum into the Ravens game. Sorry, I had to edit a little bit, Phil, but that's okay, man. It threw me off for just a second. So let's just get into it, man. I mean, I know we've been talking about some of these injuries and how beat up this Carolina Panthers team is. They come in 1-6. It's a backed up team looking for something and looking for a spark. And Trevor, you said it before, man. This team has struggled at home. It would be nice to get off early in this game, but I'm going to switch it over. I'm going to go over to Judge because I accidentally tapped and threw him off screen. I'm sorry about that, Judge. You're back now, and I'd like to get your thoughts, man. From an offensive standpoint, how should the Denver Broncos attack this Carolina Panthers defense? I've heard a little bit from Trevor and how he thinks maybe the Panthers should attack us, but how should the Broncos attack this Carolina Panthers defense, in your opinion? What do you want to see?
The easy answer is run the football because this is the worst rush defense in the NFL. continue what you were doing in New Orleans last Thursday. That's where I'd start, but I'd like to see them get Bo Nix in a rhythm. I'd like to see if this little mini bye, Peyton and him worked on some getting his footwork settled, and just getting comfortable in the pocket. That's what he needs to just work on, is the difference between a college pocket and an NFL pocket and getting comfortable in it. And I'd like to see that here. If that doesn't work, then you can switch over to the run game, because the Panthers are terrible when it comes to stopping the run. And Denver's the last few weeks has been able to run the football. But I'd like to see this be a get right game for some different things heading into Baltimore. But I don't want to jeopardize the win in any way to make that happen. But I want to see if Bo Nix has settled his feet. I want to see if just some different routes. We can't throw in between two wide open receivers like we did that first drive. Just he's got to get calm and settled in the pocket, and the sooner he does that, the better things will be.
Man, you're barking up the same tree I am. I'll get to that in just a second, man. But I'll just rattle off some stats. Carolina's defense, total defense, they're 30th in the league, giving up 385 yards and 28 TDs so far. Passing defense, 25th. Rushing defense, 32nd. Scoring defense, 32nd. Red zone, 28th. And third down defense, they're 31st. Trevor, you can attack this in almost any way that you want. If you look at this statistically, any way that you have, it's an open playbook as far as I'm concerned from a statistical standpoint. That being said, man, how are you going to go out there, and how would you like to see this Denver Broncos go out there and execute come Sunday, 2:05 p.m.?
Yeah, I don't want to see Sean Payton and the offense try to get too cute with it. Now, I agree with Jody when he said try to get Bo Nix going a little bit and seeing what works, because this is one of those games where you can really get Bo Nix's confidence going. If there was any game on the schedule right now that you can get Bo Nix more confidence in, this is the game to do it, because like you just rattled off all those stats. This is one of the worst defenses in the league. You know, they're giving up 34.7 points a game. It's one of the worst defenses in the league as far as points given up. So I think that for me, don't get too cute with it. There still needs to be a run game, of course. But I think if this is the game where I think you can open things up for Bo Nix and really allow him to do what he needs to do to gain confidence, so he can go on the road and try to get some momentum and a little bit of a rhythm going into those, obviously more difficult games on the road and going forward. You need that one game to get him going. And we've seen that in the Tampa Bay game a little bit, but this is a little bit more favorable matchup for Bo Nix in this offense. So I would like to see, again, a balanced attack, but open up the playbook for Bo Nix a little bit more. Let him rip it a little bit, not these little dink and dunks all the time. We know what he can do as far as being a mobile quarterback. Bo Nix has to take that step up as far as being a better pocket passing quarterback. And I think this game is one of those games where he can showcase that a little bit against this Carolina's defense.
Yeah, I agree. I am in 100% agreement with both of you guys, man. For me, I've heard, there's a must-win game. I've heard, could this be a trap game? For me, this sounds odd because of the position that we're in, but I think it's a get-right game, especially on the offensive side, obviously. And the defensive side is a completely different story, but on the offensive side, this is a get-right game. This is a game that, like I said, statistically, you can do whatever you want. You should be game planning in order to try to get right. You should be game planning in order to get Bo Nix right, setting his feet, passing differently than what we've seen, getting that deeper passing, getting some more intermediate passing, getting more in time, more in rhythm, right? And getting more guys involved in this offense. Obviously, we should talk here maybe right after this about Josh Reynolds, but other guys in this offense. Is this a game where you potentially have Greg Dulcich dress so that you can possibly get him going? Because it sure would be nice. If not, do make sure that you get Marvin Mims rolling in this game, because we haven't seen Marvin Mims. We see Troy Franklin taking the lead over Marvin Mims. This is a time to get right. Is this a time for Jaleel McLaughlin to really start busting it out? Because as we pointed out, this run defense isn't really all that great. We saw Javonte kind of get his groove a little bit. Sure would be nice to see Jaleel start busting off some as well. For me, this is a get right game. It's who do you want to get right? And on the offensive side, I think there's candidates. I think there's candidates for out there, and the first one's got to be Bo Nix for me. Bo Nix, his opportunity in this game to get right before he goes into this tougher stretch is important, in my opinion. If we're gonna maybe take one or two out of one of the two of these next two games, Bo Nix, I think, needs to get a little bit more right in this game right here. So just my 2 cents, at least on the offense as well. I don't know if you guys want to chime in on that. If not, I'm going to hit the chat real quick because we certainly have people chiming in. I do want to say, go ahead, buddy.
No. I was just going to say, there's no reason why wide receivers shouldn't be open in this game. You know, I don't want to hear, well, no one was open downfield, or, you know, there just wasn't nothing there. In this game, again, we know what Bo Nix can do as far as being a mobile quarterback. He's very mobile. Sometimes, you know, with some people, it surprises them how mobile he is. But Bo Nix's success is going to be, what does he do in the pocket? And that's where he needs to work on footwork, you know, not fading away from his throws. So stepping up in the pocket and making those accurate throws is what he needs to do. This is the perfect game for that. And again, and it's not just a get right game for Bo Nix, it's also for those wide receivers. What about Cortland Sutton going off for maybe over 100 yards, maybe for the first time in how long? You know, so it's like, it's one of those things where we haven't seen Cortland Sutton get too involved into the game, you know, so because he's had to go against, you know, the tougher cornerback. Defenses are adjusting to Cortland Sutton, trying to take him out of the game completely. So in this game, who's going to do that for Carolina? I really don't see anybody who can shut him down. So get Cortland Sutton involved in the game as well. And really, maybe this is a breakout game for one of these wide receivers in this game too. Maybe Lucas Kroll too. So again, just no excuses of why these guys can't get open and why we can't see an efficient passing day from Bo Nix in this Broncos offense going forward against Carolina on Sunday.
I'll just say one thing before I go to the judge, because I want to get his thoughts on this as well. J.C. Horn, their best cornerback, by the way, came out the same exact draft as one Patrick Surtain. And a lot of people, maybe some of you, were wanting J.C. Horn over a Patrick Surtain. That was a question at the time once that opportunity came about. That being said, man, J.C. Horn is a 1-to-5 ratio right now. 1 interception, 5 touchdowns. That's how much he's given up so far this season. Don't be afraid to target J.C. Horn. He's more of a run stopper than he is a pass stopper. But Jody, we rattled off just about every single name on offense. But I want the judges' thoughts, man. Give me some names in a get-right game that you would like to see get right.
On offense, Bo Nix.
Just offense. We're just doing offense. We'll flip over to defense in a second. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Bo Nix for me. Like I said, I want to see him get more comfortable in the pocket. I'd like to see Audric Estime get some touches, and I'd like to see him be able to not fumble, because I think he can. I think he has everything you need, but he's not showing it right now. And Lucas Kroll, I'd like to see Lucas Kroll build off of his performance off the Saints game. Was the first game that we've really had tight end production all year. Those would be the 3 for me. I'm not so much worried about Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton will get his when he wants. I shouldn't say when he wants, but Cortland Sutton will get his. And keep building with the other 2 guys. I like what they've done, moving Vele and Franklin more into playing roles and kind of bumping little Jordan Humphreys back a little bit. I mean, he's, I don't think, a long-term plan where these 2 guys are. That's where I would start those guys right there. And I'd like to see some more of Alex Forsythe at center. I thought he played really well. Even in the preseason, that's when the run game was its best, when he was getting snaps at center. And Denver had their best run game last week with him at center. Hopefully he can build off of this and, hold on to this starting role.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. Good points right there, man. I think the last one, probably one of my favorites, because it's one of the places I think we've struggled the most. We found opportunities in order to get receivers and running backs and stuff like that going. But when we start talking about the offensive line, man, it would sure be nice to start building some stability when it comes to the center position. Talk about stable. Paul's coming in here with a stable of questions and comments. He says, I snapped last week because a bunch of Bronco pods were being so hard on Bo Nix. You guys are real. Broncos are 31st on offense when it comes to third down conversion. I want to get to that here in a second, but I also saw Phil McLaughlin popping up with his thoughts on this. He says, it would be nice to see 200 plus rushing and passing. Time for these receivers to start earning their money. Trevor, I'll throw it back to you. We have a little bit more time before we kind of hit the 30-minute mark here on the offensive side of the things. But Phil's asking, not just for the 200 plus yards rushing, because we saw that last week, but we haven't combined that with 200 plus yards of passing as well. It's time for these receivers to start earning their keep. What are your thoughts, man? And again, I keep forgetting, but we should talk about Reynolds as well, man.
Yeah, for me, again, I think that if you're talking about earning their money, I think it's got to be Courtland Sutton, right? I mean, again,
right.
the guaranteed money that he's, starting to kind of come off the books a little bit, very little this year, and then who knows after this year. So that's why I say maybe it's time for him to have that breakout game this year. Not again, Sutton's a veteran wide receiver, and he's had plenty of those breakout games and seasons, but we haven't seen that 1,000-yard Courtland Sutton in a long time, that guy that can be a true number one. We haven't seen him in a long time. And we've yet to see it this year for sure. Courtland Sutton really break out with Bo Nix at quarterback. So I think this game would be perfect for that. I think there's enough. I think there'll be enough there, and I think there should be to spread the ball around, though. I don't think you have to target one guy in particular. You should be able to get Franklin, Mims, Sutton involved. Javonte Williams will probably be involved in the passing game too. Not only running the football, but he's also been involved in the passing game too. And I think that'll continue in this game. So I just want them to spread the targets out to these guys a little bit more. Let's see what these young wide receivers can do. That's why I'm so against kind of the Cooper Kupps of the world. The Broncos going out there and acquiring that veteran wide receiver right now, because I want to see, just like Bo Nix, let's give Troy Franklin, let's give Marvin Mims, let's give Devon Bailey some time, to kind of develop with Bo Nix and in this offense before we start saying, well, what they need wide receivers and whatnot. We know that the Broncos could always upgrade at wide receiver and get a true number one wide receiver, because Courtland Sutton, at least again in some people's minds, are a number two, is probably a number two like on Baltimore or somewhere else, a team that's contending. He's the Broncos number one right now. So of course you can always upgrade at wide receiver, but let's see what you have right now in this wide receiver room and the weapons you have before you go out there and address that. And I think this is a game where hopefully we can see that upside in some of these younger guys and some of these guys that you have right now on this roster as far as weapon-wise.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I think we've been on page with that, finally we're starting to see Marvin Mims now getting some play. I'm surprised at how much we're getting to see Troy Franklin already. Devon Bailey has been a shocker, really, when it comes to what we saw year one with Sean Payton, keeping all these guys, JL Skinner, Riley Moss, all these guys, they don't get no playing time. We don't get to see them year one. Thought that would be the same when we started to talk about some of these other guys, but no, they've been elevated, and they've been elevated fairly quickly. But we're still waiting for that quarterback play to kind of come around. And until we see that, I don't think we can really give a true evaluation on what do we have in Marvin Mims, what do we have in Troy Franklin, what do we have in Devon Bailey, what do we have in Greg Dulcich or Adam Kroll? You know what I mean? And there's so much about that. Even the offensive line. The offensive line has been doing phenomenal given the situations, in my opinion. So, again, quarterback play improves. You don't know what you have. Don't start throwing it out thinking you need to bring in D-Hop. You can keep D-Hop. You guys can all do your trading over there and figure out D-Hop trades. I think we need to figure out what we're doing here right now with the roster that we have and continue to develop. But, I just, I keep talking about it. Josh Reynolds, I think we just need to speak about this for 2 seconds, man. We didn't mention it before. I don't think we had a podcast before. So involved in a shooting, and everything's pretty quiet right now. Everything's pretty tight-lipped, as most things usually are when things like of this circumstance come. But the biggest thing is that he's wasn't seriously injured, despite being shot. He's already back in the facility, and he certainly has the love and support of his teammates. Josh Reynolds, as Garrett Bowles kind of pointed out in an interview that I saw, it's tough to say, hey, I understand, because none of us understand what it's like to be in that situation. You're just there to show care, love, and concern, and let them know that we're there for them. Hoping all the best for Josh Reynolds, man. And Trevor, I'll let you speak and judge as well after that.
Yeah, again, a very unfortunate situation. Just prayers out to Josh Reynolds again. Just talk about just really being here, and again, this involves more than just the game of football. This is life, and just so grateful that he's still here with us and still gets to make an impact. Just being a human being, and that's just first and foremost when I want to speak on. Forget the game of football right for a minute. We've been through too many of these unfortunate things kind of transpiring in the past in Broncos country. So it's great to see, Josh Reynolds kind of come out on the other side safe, and, working his way back again. I think that, it's got to be one of those things that's very traumatizing. And Sean Payton did say that there's going to be some help for the players as well that will be there, for them to talk to some specialists and whatnot for the players to talk to. And Josh Reynolds too. So my heart just goes out to him, and just so glad that he's safe and well. And again, we're all cheering for him and all here for him, and I know all his teammates are as well. So very unfortunate situation. My heart dropped when I heard the news, and I just pray for him and his family and for all the players' safety. At the end of the day, again, this game of football is a game. Life, the game, life is more than the game of football, and so just so glad he's safe, and my best wishes to Josh Reynolds going forward, both on and off the field, because he's just a great, I think he's a great human being, and and all these guys are, and for the most part, and I just think that just so much more can come out of this, and hopefully Josh Reynolds comes out on top, and he's ready to go. Just in life first before the game of football comes.
Yeah, that's a lot, but that's absolutely right, man. He's going through a lot. Judge, anything that you want to add on to that? If not, we'll jump back, and then after we'll jump back into the comments.
I don't have a lot to add because there's not a lot that's came out yet on it. Just lucky, the bullet grazed the back of his head. What's a couple more inches, and it's probably a whole different outcome. So he's pretty lucky there. But there hasn't been a lot come out, so I don't really have a lot to speak on it. Just lucky that bullet wasn't 2 inches to the left or whichever way, and hopefully he gets well and he's needed back on the field. So sooner the better. So hopefully he heals his hand up, and these weren't too bad of gunshot wounds, and he can come back as soon as possible.
Yeah, as soon as possible. I want him to be mentally okay. You know what I mean? I can't imagine, even going through that, and then all of a sudden it's like football. Okay. Football. It takes a lot of focus, and it takes a lot of mental, just fortitude, in order to compartmentalize like that and put yourself back on the field. So just my thoughts out to him, his family, and love to see him on the field, but want to see him out there happy and healthy out there on the field. So I got to get to the comments, and then we'll jump in for a small break. I'll try to get people caught up on our small break. But Ernie Mays just chiming in saying, I want the whole unit to play out there and go out there and play well. He's not specifying anything. He just, and there's something to be said about that. Playing well as a unit, right? Looking in time, in sync, looking like in time, in sync in the passing, running game, whatever it happens to be, just playing well as a unit. Paul would like to see Dulcich get another shot, and Estime carrying the ball around like the facility. Going to bed with that football in your arm and can't drop it. Can't drop it. Paul's saying he's heard Kroll is bad at blocking. Not his forte. Not his forte, but he's been better at pass catching than some of our other tight ends as of lately. So that's sometimes what you give up, left, right, and otherwise. So our good friend Rodney Garcia is coming in over on YouTube and says, "Good evening, guys. Hope all is well. And go Broncos. We need to start off strong early and finish the game strong as well." He says, "I want to see Bo more comfortable, less happy feet while in the pocket. He needs to be settled and hit those easy, accurate passes to Franklin's and Mims." So, yeah, Rodney, I think we're right on page with you, man. I think most of Broncos country has come around to this way of thinking. I think it's one of the things that I don't know. I feel I was critical on early. I know that Trevor was kind of critical on early. Was the kind of the happy feet, and now we're all on board with it. We want to see some progression now as Broncos country. And Bo Nix doing a little bit better there. We know that if he gets that settled, boy, sky starts becoming the limit. Because he's in there, he's in the pocket, he's managing the pocket, he's stepping into his throws. Everything's open to this offense and Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. It really kind of hinges on that point. Roy Osborne doesn't listen to the Goons so-called Bronco podcast. I appreciate that. Rodney's right in there with me. I'd like to see some RPOs. I'd like to see some more scheduled run plays from Bo Nix, especially moving forward. I think that helps keep him in rhythm. Paul's just saying, yes, Reynolds showed up to the facility the day after. That he was involved in all that. So, Pearl's in here saying that Troy's looking good, liking what Troy's Franklin's putting down. Let's see. Paul's begging for some Parham. But boy, I got to catch up on all these comments. You guys are like blowing it up. I'm trying to scroll through, trying to would like to see some A.T. Perry, says Rodney Garcia. So lots of thoughts coming in. I want to get over to the defensive side of the ball next, but before I do, I want to talk about Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is our fantastic sponsor. 33 years in the business. All they do is, estate gold at wholesale prices, as well as Southwest Jewelry and Southwest Pottery, guys. I'll be honest, I'm kind of a little out of jumble because, Morgan Trinkets has been having some trouble with their Facebook page, and that's their main way they transact. So right now, you need to search out Morgan Trinkets over on Facebook, or not on Facebook, but on Instagram. I'm sorry. Morgan Trinkets over on Instagram. You can still see what's going on over there for Morgan Trinkets. You can figure out what's going on as far as any of their amazing shows that they have going in southern Wyoming and northern Colorado. And hopefully you can see a little bit of their inventory as well and start to contact Pearl about all the amazing product that she has available to you. I'm telling you what, the posse, you've been fantastic supporters of Pearl over there at Morgan Trinkets. Had many, many happy customers already. Support Morgan Trinkets. There's going to be another Facebook page coming up around the corner. We'll go ahead and we'll promote that as soon as that comes out. But check out Morgan Trinkets for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, estate gold at wholesale prices, and support Miss Pearl. Appreciate it a ton. I wanted to get to Phil, I believe it was, that was coming in here. If I can find the comment. Oh my goodness. Maybe it wasn't Phil, but I want to switch over to the defensive side of the ball and start talking about, how this defense necessarily matches up against this Panthers offense. And like we've talked about, this Panthers offense is quite a bit beaten up, Trevor, but get right game maybe for this Denver Broncos defense as well. If you were to start pointing out some get right players, just give me a few so we leave a few for Jody. And I don't want him just picking up scraps here, buddy. But if you had to pick out a player or two, who would you say is a get right on the Broncos defense as we go up against this Panthers offense?
I mean, there's not a whole lot of get right players to choose from because I think this defense is just playing at an elite level right now. For me, I think Baron Browning. I'm going to go kind of under the radar a little bit. Mr. Baron Browning just hasn't really showed much this year, and I just think that we heard a lot about Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito starting to step into his role even more and continuing to get better. I think Baron Browning needs to show Vance Joseph and Sean Payton what he's made of and what he can do. Obviously, we've talked about it multiple times. There's a lot of upside there with Baron Browning, but we really haven't seen him stay healthy, and we haven't seen the production when he's healthy. So as much as we want to, of course, and what he's capable of doing. So Mr. Baron Browning, I think in this game, for me, is the guy that needs to kind of get right in this game. And going forward to see can he be that that elite edge rusher that this team wants, or is he a guy that maybe is out the door at the end of the year, or did they possibly trade him at the trade deadline? I don't think that's likely, but Baron Browning for me is a guy that just needs to kind of get right. If we're talking about anybody on this defense, Baron Browning for me would be the guy.
Get right for you is Baron Browning. I did find the comment finally, so I'm going to flip it over to Jody. Jody, Phil says, so does Benito and Allen get 2 sacks each? And Allen 2? I'm not sure what the Allen 2 is, but if they get 2 sacks each, man, do you think Benito and Allen get 2 sacks each? How do you think the sack situation plays out in this game? Where do we tally out at? And where do you think Benito and Allen come in at?
I'm not sure they both get 2 apiece, but I definitely do think that we will be getting a decent amount of sacks in this game. The Panthers' line is beat up. It's not good. Their right tackle may not play. But what Benito has a sack in every game this year, I think, is what his streak is. Zach Allen, he's been getting a lot of pressure. So, yeah, I think they get after the quarterback. But to say both of them get 2 each, that may not happen. But you're going to see constant pressure all game. And I like that because I don't want to see Bryce Young getting a rhythm or anything because, like I said earlier, he was a number 1 overall pick for a reason. So don't want to let him start building confidence.
Very good. I like that, man. I might be on board with this. I'll be honest. Benito has been relentless. This team is reeling when we talk about the Carolina Panthers. And Allen has just been phenomenal. I mean, number 1 in pressures from an interior defensive lineman. Number 1, Denver Bronco defense. You know what? I'm going to read off just a few more stats really quick when it comes to this defense. Total defense, we're 3rd. Passing defense, 5th. Rushing defense, 10th. As bad as we think that we may be at our rushing defense, we're coming in 10th right now, gentlemen. Scoring defense, we're 3rd with only giving up 10 TDs so far. Red zone, 1st in the red zone. And 3rd down, 18th. That's our biggest crux, I guess you could say, is that 3rd down conversion that the teams have on us. Trevor, I'll let you answer as well. Benito, Allen, 2 sacks apiece. Is Phil barking up the wrong tree, or what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach Allen's going to dominate in this game. I really do. I think this defensive line is just going to be a big impact, going to play a big impact in this game. I think Zach Allen, he how well he's been on more stiffer competition. I can't imagine he's going to slow down against Carolina. So, and like Jody said, they're kind of beat up on their offensive line a little bit. So I think Zach Allen, for me, the pressures, I mean, I think he'll get 6 or 7 pressures in this game, I think, pretty easily, in my opinion. Just, what is he able to do getting after the quarterback? And he's just such an impact player on this team right now. And but with Benito, for me, yeah, I think that there's definitely a case for both. I think both of them, honestly, to get 2 sacks. But the thing with Zach Allen, it's more of the pressures that he's been able to get. Like you mentioned, you just rattled off his pressures and how he leads interior defensive linemen with pressures. It's the pressures with Zach Allen that for me is more key than just the sacks, because the sacks, although they're the more kind of stylish, stat out there, the pressures are where, for me, matter more than just the sacks. Of course, you want to see these guys finish plays, but I want this defense, first and foremost, to get a lot of pressure on Bryce Young when Bryce Young is asked to throw the ball. So I think it's very possible that we could see Benito and Zach Allen possibly get 2. Also, don't count out Mr. Jonathan Cooper as well. He's due for one of those kind of bigger big time games as well. He's kind of been quiet the last couple weeks, so maybe Mr. Jonathan Cooper kind of gets going a little bit in this game too.
Pearl is reaching out saying Morgan Trinkets at AOL. That's where y'all need to drop her a line and say, hang in there, Pearl. I know things have been rough with all your Facebook and all your Morgan Trinkets, but what do you got going on over there? And we just want to give you some love. So Morgan Trinkets at AOL.com, all lowercase, he says. I got to get over to Johnny, Mile High Viking Baki. He's over there at the Orange and Blue Network. Heck, I've been on that show once or twice. I think even we need to trade a little bit and get Johnny over here at some point. But I'll run this one over to Jody. He says, if the Broncos were to trade for just one position on either side of the ball before the deadline, what position would you want to address? I'll give you bonus points if you want to give me an actual name they want to pursue. But position alone is fine with me, Jody. Sometimes it's tough to know every roster and every depth chart. Where would you go, man? What position?
Tight end for me, and the guy I would really like him to get is David Njoku. From Cleveland. Cleveland's selling off. They sold Amari Cooper. And Deshaun Watson's now hurt, so so's DRT. They're playing Jameis Winston now. That's a guy I would like. He's only 28. I think you can get him to extend his contract. You can get him here for 3, 4, 5 years. And that's something Denver's lacked since probably Julius Thomas, an electric passing tight end. So that's where I would love for them to go.
Trevor, I'll let you chime in on this one. But do you have an opinion on this one? I'll reserve my thoughts on this, but give Johnny your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if again, I'm in that boat where they don't have to make a move, in my opinion, and I don't. And again, they're going to pick up the phone. They're going to look around the league to see what upgrades they can possibly get and what's out there. Sean Payton has already said that. Him and George Payton meet daily and they discuss the roster. So for me, yeah, I mean, tight end, yeah, I do think there's something there with Kroll. So I kind of want to see the next couple weeks how Kroll kind of starts to get inserted in this offense a little bit more. Maybe if Bo can hit those throws, just get that accuracy down just a little bit, and Kroll's getting open, there's no reason that there shouldn't be production from Lucas Kroll. Also for me, and I don't think they're going to do this, but inside linebacker for me has been a hole that this team has had. I know Cody Barton's played well in the Alex Singleton role, which is stop the run, kind of rack up tackles. But when it comes to pass coverage, we don't really have that. The Broncos don't really have that right now, and haven't had that inside linebacker in pass coverage. It's good in pass coverage. I would say since Josie Jewell left. So, and even he wasn't elite. So you kind of need that, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to do that because you don't see a lot of inside linebackers get traded a lot. We just seen a trade the other day, involving, I believe it was Seattle and another team. I just can't think of it right now. But those two positions for me. Running back, maybe there's something out there at running back. If there's an upgrade, maybe Chuba Hubbard is a guy that's kind of out there. Maybe for the Broncos, maybe they can try to see if they can try to poach him away from the Panthers a little bit, because they are still wanting Jonathan Brooks back. That's a second round draft pick that they invested in this past offseason. So, but I don't. Some of these positions, I just think the Broncos will probably address in the offseason. I don't know if they address a ton of that at the trade deadline. And maybe tight end if it's the right deal, but I just not sure that I see them make a ton of moves right now. We'll just have to see how the next couple of weeks play out.
Yeah, it was a big if. I think I even tried to emphasize the if the Broncos were, because I think we're all in the same. Let's face it, trades don't happen all that much, and you don't see a whole lot of movement in the league. And there's a couple of things that happen, and D-Hop gets traded, and that's big news. But there's not a whole lot of flashing going on right now. There'll be a couple, there'll be 3 maybe, and that's about the extent of it as far as big name moves. I remember what you were talking about as far as Seattle was concerned. It was like a trade of inside linebackers or something like that. It was like, it wasn't anything of substance, Just to answer your question, Johnny, I guess if I was reading through all those stats, if you could go out there and get a premier inside interior defensive lineman, maybe that would be fantastic. Added to this rotation right now, just because we're giving up a little bit when it comes to, plugging up the holes. We could be a little bit better as far as stoutness up front. That being said, I like what we have in Roach. I like what we have in DJ Jones. I like what we've been able to do. And who just came back? Came off of all the trouble with gambling. Wazarike.
Oh, Wazarike. Yeah.
Wazarike, who just came back into the rotation. We might be able to see what he can do as well, kind of a larger body. So,
and keep in mind, real quickly, Keith, keep in mind the Broncos salary cap situation. I know the salary cap can be manipulated, but any player that they get, they're gonna have to fit underneath the salary cap. I believe Njoku redone his contract, so there would be very little money coming back if they were able to trade for Njoku. But just keep in mind when you're talking about trading for players, you have to be able to make sure that's fit underneath the Broncos salary cap. And we know right now that they're still eating that big money from Russell Wilson's contract. So that might be something that plays a part in it too, just to keep in mind going forward.
Yeah. You don't want to necessarily set yourself back. Wow. I can see us being sellers. Why not explore options to trade Brownie? I think that's been one of the big ones that people have kind of floated out there. The other one I just heard recently and kind of makes a little bit of sense. Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham could be certainly floated out there with all the quarterback injuries that we have seen in the experience that he has. We're 3 deep, and we probably are a little bit more in love with Zach Wilson. So I guess if we were sellers, those are 2 names to think of. But we're like, I can't believe it. Guys, gals, horsemen, man, we're right up against it. And all of a sudden, we got to get to a prediction. We got to start talking about scores for this game. We got to start figuring out, do the Broncos just go out there and, blow them out the water, right out the gate, keep the pedal down? Is this a game that we see struggles? Do we see that animal in the corner, that injured Panther and one Bryce Young come out here and give it his all? And give the Broncos their all, because we've certainly seen, as we pointed out, like a Zach Wilson come in here and, kind of get right versus this team when he was with the Jets. There's a lot of ifs about this team. There's a lot of ifs about this game, ifs about the Carolina Panthers, I should say. There's a lot of ifs about this game. Right now, the ifs are, what type of game are we going to have? What? How do you think it's going to all play out? I'm getting some thoughts. Rodney Garcia is coming in just to get us started, and I'll start flipping it over to you, gentlemen, as well. But Rodney's coming in. He's thinking, I have a 26-10 Denver win. Nice little win right there, man. Mm-hmm. Looks like good points, putting up some decent points. Obviously holding the Carolina Panthers down, which I think that's certainly a possibility. Ernie Mays, he's spread that out even further, though. He's saying 31-6 Broncos. I like that, man. I would love to see a spread like that. Jody, feel like I've been going to Trevor first all night long, so I'll go to you on this one first. Jody, how do you see this game playing out, man? And how do you see the score playing out? Is this going to be a runaway? Is it going to be a big game, tight game, low scoring, high scoring? Everything's on the table, buddy. I want to let you run with it.
I think it'll be a runaway. Denver needs to assert themselves early. I think it's a get-right game for Bo Nix, get-right game for this offense, and I have it 34-9 Denver.
34-9 Denver. Whew. That one I might have to make some big circles around. That's a big one. That's a big one. Rodney's coming in over on YouTube. He says, I want to see Bo. I want Bo to succeed and improve. I want to see him reach 300 yards passing and a couple of TDs. Phil McLaughlin's coming in with a big 31-9 prediction, only slightly behind Jody's 34-9 prediction. So Paul's coming in and says Bo will have 3 TDs, 250 yards passing, 50 rushing, Javonte 100 and a TD. Rodney's saying, or 52-6 if the entire team shows up. Laugh out loud. Cody's coming in. Cody, I think this is a new name. He says, I want 5+ sacks and a pick. 27-7 Broncos. Cody, appreciate you. New name. Appreciate you jumping in here. I like the score. I like the 5 sacks and a pick too, man. I think this defense has an opportunity to eat. The judge has spoken, says Paul. I like it. Pearl's coming in with a 20-10 Broncos. Rodney's getting crazy, and someone might need to check on him because he's saying 99-6 now. So, Trevor, bring us back to reality. Where do you think this Denver Broncos team ends up? How do you think they do against this Carolina Panthers team as we get this home game, a home field that necessarily hasn't been all that kind to us?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this is a very favorable matchup for the Broncos and what they have on both sides of the ball. And I think the Panthers are kind of behind the 8 ball, in my opinion, with you having to, first it was they're going to start Andy Dalton, and now they're kind of moving over to Bryce Young, and Bryce Young hasn't played in a while. So has Bryce Young really learned anything as he has sat for a couple weeks now? We shall see. So for me, I'm going to have a 28-10 Broncos. I think this is going to be similar to the Saints game. You're going to see the defense that then continue to get turnovers from that Carolina Panthers team. Bryce Young, he's not gonna have a lot of weapons out there. Deontay Johnson. When we named Jonathan Brooks earlier, a couple names that just aren't going to be out there for him. So maybe not even Tommy Tremble. So very limited weapons for Bryce Young, and very difficult situation. Kind of feel bad for the guy in a way. But yeah, 28-10 for me. I think the Broncos offense, want to see some growth. I don't know that we see this team put up 30, 40, 50 points, I should say. But I want to see steps in the right direction. Is Bo Nix taking those steps in the right direction? I think he definitely can be. And I'm starting to, definitely, love what I'm seeing from Bo week to week. I think there's definitely some things to work on. He's a rookie quarterback. I'm going to give him time, 2 years for Bo Nix. He's got to have time to grow. This is one of those games where I think he can grow in and maybe work on his footwork a little bit more. We've seen him work on his footwork against the Saints as well. Some of those passes over the middle, he really kind of made it known that to kind of set his feet and make that throw, that strong, accurate throw. So in this game, I want to see, again, mix of run and pass. Sean Payton, don't make things too cute for this offense. Get the job done, and let's get out of the Mile High City with a win, and look forward to a couple games on the road that are going to be difficult going forward. But yeah, take care of business. And again, no win, hardly any win is easy in the NFL. So don't underestimate the Panthers too much. Take care of business. Do what you do. Play Denver Bronco football, and let's take steps in the right direction on the offense side of the ball, and the defense just keep being elite, just how they have been up to this point this season.
Yeah, need to take care of business. But I think this game is going a slightly different direction. I'm not too far off of what you were talking about here at a 28-10. I was thinking about it. I'm going to play a steal the score prediction for Keith, and I'm going to go to Cody. I'm going to go 27-7 as my score prediction here. I think the Denver Broncos could have every opportunity to go out there and probably run a much higher score, but I think it's a get-right game, and I think they may even teeter on what's going on out there. Are we going to get going or not against this Carolina Panthers type of team? Inevitably, we obviously pull off a good win and a 27-7 type of win. This Denver Broncos defense is elite, and I think they'll show it off against this Carolina Panthers offense. Mm-hmm. So the 7 points, every team's got to score something, it seems like. I'd love to put a shutout out there, but dang, until we do one, I feel like it's tough to put another one up there. So 27-7, I think that's a really good score, Cody. I think it gives the Denver Broncos an opportunity to go out there offensively and kind of produce in the way that we need them to, even if we have to take a few 3-and-outs, even if Bo Nix throws an interception, which he hasn't done a whole lot of. I want to see him out there trying to do the right things. And if bad things happen to come from it, I think our defense can save us in this game. I still like that 27-7 score, so that's where I'm going as well. Before I get out of here and start handing it off to you guys to say goodnight, one more last jump into the comments. We appreciate you guys so much because people like Pearl's coming in saying fun listening and playing with her puppy. Pearl loves her puppies, well, and they're show quality puppies, so why wouldn't you love them as well? So, Pearl, I'm glad you're taking some fun time with us and with the puppy as well. Rodney's coming in and saying, great stream tonight, guys, and almost forgot to say happy early Halloween. Well, yeah, absolutely. We I guess we will be coming in on Tuesday, so don't forget about that one. Tuesday podcast. We'll be able to catch up with you before Halloween. Maybe we'll come in all dressed up. Who knows? Have to talk these guys into something like that. Oh my goodness. We need to contain Hubbard and Miles Sanders in the run defense, says one Rodney Garcia. Our good friend Kenny Kirkpatrick of the amazing K&K Sports Show comes in and says, good evening, fellas. Sorry I'm late. Best Broncos podcast on earth. Appreciate it so much, sir. And he's also coming in with a score prediction. He says, not the prettiest of games, but the Broncos get the win 20-10. Anything else? Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney is a Panther. This is a game that we should handle business, says Cody. Graham's also coming in a little bit late, says, I'm so late, but hope it was a great show. It's a great show, but it's even more great when I have friends like you and Kenny jumping in here late. Appreciate you so much. Also, Graham's over at the K&K Sports Show. I need to keep saying it. Keep saying that. I think that's about it. Before I go over and start saying some good nights and some goodbyes, I'll turn it over to Jody because I haven't been able to say that a whole lot. I'll go over to Jody first.
I hope this is a get right game for a few people. Stay healthy, build on some things, and move on to Baltimore. But stay focused. Don't overlook this team, because if you overlook them, look what happened to the Ravens earlier in the season. They overlooked the Raiders and lost. So don't put yourself in that position. That's something that you can't do with when you don't have a lot of margins for error right now. So win the games that you're supposed to win and move on past this. Don't overlook this game. Get a win, and then we can talk Baltimore next week.
Yeah. It's not a look past game. Don't get so wrapped up in getting right that you let it get away from you. I agree with that, man. Go ahead, go out there, get the win. Jody, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Trevor as well. Trevor, say a few things and then help get us out of here.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of make my point. What Jody said, just again, one game at a time. Don't look past this game, because once you do that, it doesn't end up well usually. So, one game at a time, and I think the Broncos have a really good chance on Sunday and take care of business at home. You got to win those home games if you want to be a playoff team. And I think this is one of those games where you have to be 5-3. I think after Sunday, because again, you're going on the road. And against two very, very, very more, stiffer competition, I should say. So, you got to take care of business at home and against a team that you should beat. And the Broncos up to this point under Sean Payton, I will say this team, and this is another point that I didn't get a chance to make tonight, under Sean Payton, this team tends to take care of business under teams that they should be taking care of business against and are pretty heavily favored against. So I trust Sean Payton, and he'll have these guys ready to go, and trust these guys that they'll be ready to go in this game on Sunday and get a big win. But, definitely looking forward to it. But no, I just want to appreciate everybody, coming in the comments and, just watching us again. Great to have new names in here as well. We always have post-game shows on Sunday too. So right after the game or whenever the game, Thursday, Mondays, it don't matter. We have those post-game shows for you as well. So I can't wait to break it down. And, I hope everybody has a great weekend. I know the World Series is going on right now. So hopefully all those Dodgers, Yankees fans, I hope you guys get what you want and, get those wins, important wins, and get a World Series championship. But, again, great weekend of sports, hopefully as well. College football, basketball going on. So all sorts of different times, great times in sports right now. So I hope everybody's having a great weekend. Hope everybody stays safe, Stay warm if it's cold out there for you guys. And, we'll see you guys back here on Sunday. So, as always, go Broncos, and thank you, everybody, for watching tonight.
Rodney, I'll post this as one of our last comments. He says, go Orange Crush, and hope Broncos country are loud at Empower Field. If you happen to be in the area, you got tickets, you're showing up there, please be loud. Be loud, man. Home crowd, mile high. I'll always call it mile high. Empower Field. There's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. Go out there, be loud and proud. It's a game in which I think you'll be able to do so and walk away happy as well. I got to ask really quick before I get out of here. Trevor, Dodgers or Yankees?
Yankees.
Jody, Dodgers or Yankees?
Neither, but I'll go with the Yankees just because I can't stand the Dodgers.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I can't either.
I guess I'll be the odd man out. I'll pick the Dodgers, because I'm kind of like that with the Yankees. Can't stand them. Anyway, appreciate everyone that's joined us this evening. Don't forget, reach out to Pearl over there at Morgan Trinkets at AOL.com. Check out everything. She'll have everything you need. Just ask her for all your Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, estate gold at wholesale prices. Please support her in this time as well. Appreciate everyone that just jumped in, man. A big shout out to Michael Ronquillo. Big shout out to Phil McLaughlin dropping stars this evening. Love to see all the great names. I tell you what, I know what that means. You guys have been liking, you've been sharing, you've been subscribing, and that's been making sure that we continue to grow, reach more Broncos fans just like you guys and gals. We love rocking every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. But also, don't forget about that post-game show that we do as well. Right after the game, we get on here, we get your reaction. We're hopefully, not hopefully, we're going to go out there. We're going to get a win versus the Carolina Panthers. And being that said, come in here, be talking with us about how great this Denver Broncos team looks and how great they're going to look as we head off into some more formidable opponents. Appreciate you all so much. Thank you for rocking here for an hour and 8 minutes with us on a Friday night. We got to get out of here. We do it one way. Keep those boots right there in the stirrups. Keep your guns in your holsters. And always keep the Denver Broncos in your heart. We're going to get out of here. Have a great weekend, everybody.